Viewers, and welcome to a new episode of Africa Today, where we bring you all the latest news happening inside the Black Continent. My name is Angie Meher, and I'll be joining you for today's edition. Of course, we start with a quick look at some of the news making the headlines, going straight away to Somalia, where an official confirmed reports of an attack on a U.S. base in the country late Monday. The official said a car bomber detonated a vehicle packed with explosives at the gate of a military arts strip that serves as a base for the United States of America and Somali forces, but no casualties were reported. We have more details in this story.
Somali militants on Monday mounted an ambitious attack on a base where U.S. Special Forces trained Somali commanders, while an Italian military convoy was hit in a separate blast in the capital, Mogadishu. American and Italian officials said that no casualties were reported in either attack. Somali police said that twin vehicle-borne bombs at the base where Somali forces and Uganda peacekeepers are also housed were followed by small arms fire. Al-Qaeda-linked group of Al-Shabaab said it carried out the attack. The military base is about 100 kilometers west of Mogadishu. Insurgents attacked the base in February using mortars but caused no casualties. A security advisor said that the attack showed Al-Shabaab maintains a good intelligence network and can mount complex operations. Monday's attack followed a dip in U.S. airstrikes in Somalia. Africa Command has carried out 4 in the past 2 months, compared with 28 in the first 3 months of 2019.
And to continue with our news, the Algerian Army Chief Jihad Salah has vowed not to back any candidate in the presidential polls due to take place in December, affirming that only the people will pick the next president through ballot boxes. More details to follow.
Algerian Army Chief Jihad Salah has vowed not to back any candidate in the presidential polls due to take place in December in an attempt to encourage Algerians to vote. On Sunday, Salah said that only people will pick the next president through ballot boxes and the army would not support anyone. Algerian citizens have been rallying on the streets of Algeria since February to condemn corruption and unemployment. Algerians have also been threatening to boycott the election expected to take place on December 12th, according to Interim President Abdelkader Ben Saleh. To end the protests, Salah ordered security services to seize cars entering Algeria for protests.
And to continue with more news, Egypt's embassy in Khartoum has declared that undergraduate and graduate Sudanese students in Egyptian public universities will be exempted from 90% of the tuition fees. More details in the story, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
The Egyptian embassy in Khartoum announced that undergraduate and graduate Sudanese students in Egypt public universities will be exempt from 90% of tuition fees. In a similar context, Nida Sudan school meetings fostered by Egypt are set to conclude on Monday. They kicked off in Ain al-Sukhna on Saturday in order to reach an agreement on political framework to be adopted by Sudan after ending the transitional phase. Nida Sudan is a collision of political parties which are the National Ummah Party, the National Congress Party, the Sudan's People's Liberation Movement, and the Justice and Equality Movement. Earlier this month, Sudanese Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok paid Egypt a state visit to discuss bilateral relations and present latest developments on his country's political scene after the ouster of former Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir in April.
And I'm now delighted to be joined over the telephone by my guest for this afternoon, Dr. Raouf Ghafar, the political analyst. A very good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to you, my dear.
Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. And of course, today we will be discussing the latest developments in Sudan, where Egypt has been hosting for the past 2 days meetings for Nida Sudan coalition, talks on a political roadmap, of course, after the end of the transitional period. What is the importance of Egypt hosting such a meeting, and what do you see as the main highlights of this meeting?
First of all, I mean, Sudan, Egypt, we're talking same country, same objectives, same destiny, everything. So this is very normal that Egypt is always backing Sudan in all directions, not only. So if we take it one by one, first of all, this meeting today starting in Sudan regarding the Renaissance dam aims to reach a reasonable agreement and settlement by which the construction and the filling of the dam should take a reasonable time, not to affect and not to damage both Egypt and Sudan. So I think that our president was this time he was very strict.
Yes.
He was very severe in his remarks, and he said that we are not negotiating water. Water for us is a matter of life and death, and
Yes.
we are not ready to compromise in any way. And I think that the message was received well,
Yes.
and I hope that this time the negotiations will end up with positive results, not causing any damages to any of the sides.
Now, we've also seen calls by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi as well as the Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry reiterating calls for the United States to take Sudan off the list of countries that sponsor terrorism. How important is this? And we saw the President himself in his address to the UN General Assembly asking for the same request.
Once again, the change of regime in Sudan that took place lately shows the world that the direction has changed, and that Sudan is taking a step forward in a moderate direction, a reasonable direction, far from fanatism and far from extremism. So I think they deserve the chance to be lifted from the list of the countries that are sponsoring and helping and backing terrorism. Our president was very clear in requesting that. Our Minister of Foreign Affairs exactly followed suit. And then we just heard a couple of days ago the Secretary General of the United Nations confirmed the request and saying that yes, what he saw from the development happening in Sudan entitles the Sudan to be given a chance and have his name lifted from the list of terrorism backing countries. And I think this will take place very soon.
Yes, that was my next question, Dr. Rauf. Do you see that Washington, or do you believe that Washington is ready to take such a move soon? And how will this affect Sudan? Because being on this list has had very adverse effects on the country.
I can tell you that President Trump is a very pragmatic person. He is always looking at his own interest. The United States, America's interest. And I'm sure that regardless of anything, the interest of America in Sudan under the new administration is 10 times better than the interest of America in Sudan under the old administration. So they know that very well. And I think that they will give this opportunity to Sudan. And I am sure that we will be hearing about American investments in Sudan, especially that Sudan is very wealthy and has a lot of resources. And of course, the United States know that. And they will help taking Sudan out, and they will increase their investments in Sudan and their interest with Sudan. I'm sure of that.
Yes, and we've also seen the head of the Ummah Party, which is of course part of the coalition, saying that he's appreciated Egypt's support for Sudan, urging for more support, especially as well from the international community for Sudan to get back up on its feet. How do you see this, and how do you see the role that the international community can play?
Well, first of all, Sudan needs all the help it can get.
Yes.
They need to develop, and they need the participation, whether by money or by expertise or by what have you, from the international community. And this will happen. And I'm sure that Egypt is playing a very, very big role to reintroduce Sudan into the international community and help convince the world that Sudan deserves a second chance. And under the current administration, they have all what it takes to develop. And I think that the weight that Egypt has versus the international community will help a lot Sudan get on the right track and get all the help it needs from the whole world, I should say.
Dr. Raouf, in your opinion, sir, what do you think the priorities of the new Sudanese government, especially in this transitional phase, should be?
First of all, I'm talking personal opinion, human rights. Human rights have been severely abused over the last years in Sudan. This has to change. First of all, democracy has to prevail. Fanaticism has to go away. Fighting terrorism has to take real action in Sudan. And I'm sure they are on the right steps to do all that. And once the whole world will see what is Sudan achieving, they will not spare their efforts and their money to help Sudan go out of the dilemma. And I'm sure the priority of Sudan is to develop, and I think they are on the right track. And I'm sure that the atmosphere in Sudan is changing very positively, and this will encourage all the world to come in and help Sudan.
Absolutely right. On that very positive note, I'd like to thank you very much, Dr. Raouf Ghaffar, the political analyst, for joining us this afternoon and for all your insights. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we wrap up today's edition of Africa Today. You're in the company of myself, Angie Meher. Many thanks for watching.